Welcome to Champions of Change Corner. Hi, I'm Tiffany. I provide quick tips and idea nuggets to help you with proven sales, marketing, and business development strategies, along with a little sprinkle of leadership concepts so that you can inspire change, impact lives, and improve outcomes for the aging, their families, and your teams. Whether you already own a business or work in senior living, home health, home care, or any other service-related business focused on improving the lives of the aging, or maybe you would like to. If your mission is to serve them, my mission is to serve you. After spending years in senior living and home health, I have become a passionate advocate for the aging and those who support them. Every week, I promise to help you gain the tools, the knowledge, and resources to improve your bottom line, whether that is for your personal career growth or business goals. It is your time to be inspired, gain practical tips, and own your future. Let's get started.
Hello, dear listeners. Have you ever worn a pair of shoes that just didn't fit right? Yeah, so that's what I've been feeling lately about the podcast name Champions of Change Corner. Yes, we are Champions of Change. Yes, that is still the name of the blog, but it just didn't feel like a good fit. It's been like trying to squeeze into those skinny jeans after a big meal. Yeah, but don't worry, because we've got a new name. And that name is as perfect as a slice of pizza on a Friday night. You guys know how much I love my pizza now. Us New Yorkers don't give that up. The new name of the podcast is, drumroll please, Start with Occupancy. Some of you may have seen that I've been putting things out about it. And the reason for it is because everything that we do in the senior living and actually senior care space, we may call it census, but it's still the same thing. Whether it is your census or whether it is your occupancy, we have to really look at who we're serving so that we can have the right strategies in place. Everything starts with occupancy. And so that is our new name. To be honest, I don't think that anyone was really that committed to Champions of Change Corner as a name, but Start with Occupancy is our new brand. And our brand is so aligned with our mission. And it's not just the podcast that is renamed, but our Facebook page now. If you look up Start with Occupancy, that's where you can find us. And on Instagram, the only thing that's going to remain Champions of Change Corner is the blog, which I have not updated as of yet because I have so many other things that we're doing, but it will be, and it'll be coming to you weekly. So come on over, check out the new digs, look at the fresh new coat of paint, and thanks for being a listener, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Now, what I'm doing is playing some old episodes that were recorded but never released. So stay tuned. Hi, everybody. I wanted to welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about connection. We're finding out it's sometimes more challenging to connect with families. Thinking about all the things that families are enduring right now when it comes to their own fears, their concerns, all these different things that this time frame of the pandemic, of the coronavirus, brings to people, anxiety and just a lot of, I don't want to call it negative, but a lot of things that kind of push people down. And yet they still have to think about things that are happening with their loved one, their mom, their dad. They may live far away, so there's guilt that's going on there. They have maybe health issues that their mom and dad is dealing with, and they've realized they cannot do this. And during this time of the things that they are normally stressed out about, you're adding a layer with this pandemic, and they have to make a decision. They're looking at senior living. And so how do you in this time connect with those families? I'm getting a lot of questions about that from different people. So I wanted to go over the connection, which is the number 1 in the 3 series video that I'm doing for this time frame that we are all in. So the one is connection, which is the method of how we are going to reach out to families and prospects during this time. What are you going to do? Obviously, we all know about email. People either are emailing us because they saw us on the internet and got your email address. Maybe it's through one of our lead aggregators like a Place for Mom. How do you personalize that email and how do you become efficient at it as well? So here's my little hack that I did. Every email should be personalized to that particular family and their story. So when a lead came in, whether it was from one that I took by phone or through a Place for Mom, I had a set thing that I wanted to convey to every family. So I would put that in an email in a draft, but I would personalize it for each person that came in based on what I read about their information. Because on every email, I asked them 2 questions that I wanted them to respond back to me. It served 2 purposes. One is to let them know there is not a canned email. So I personalize it with their name of their loved one, who was the representative at the lead aggregator that spoke with them. Or if it was somebody in my community who took a message, I would reference their name in it. But I also did a little blurb about what the community meant to me and what our mission was as a community. I mean, we have a company mission, but we also have a community mission. And then from there was to ask them 2 questions, and that was to elicit a response back. But those questions were very targeted based on the information that I saw, either from the notes from my team member or from the A Place for Mom representative or whatever lead aggregator you're utilizing. It could be Oasis, Care Patrol, whatever have you, if I got that information. The second way is obviously to call. As you and I both know, that's where families have the most issues with. It's like everybody's calling me, everybody's calling me. So being able to obviously be the number one to call, you want to be one of the first ones because by the time they get the 10th or 11th call, it's just too much, right? So I would always do the call immediately within 30 minutes of getting an email from my lead aggregators. And then from there, I would follow up with a personalized email. So then that way I could stand out from the crowd. And if there was something that was in the email that I saw that could be a resource or a help, I would send a link to that, or I would also discuss that in the email as a 1 sentence blurb. The other thing is through video. So that's a third way, right? We have email, call, video. Video nowadays, obviously, with what we're going through, is so important. And how great and personalized is it if you can follow up with a call with a quick video or do a quick video and send it by text? The power of video is this: it puts a face and a voice with the name and with the community. Don't do anything too long, but just an introduction saying who you are, that you're trying to reach them, that they have reached out to you, and you're trying to make that connection. I know it was really effective for me when I was in the community. I learned that from being in real estate. And what I would do when I was in a community is after a family would have visited, I would take pictures or video of the things that they said they liked the most. And then I would just narrate it and say, these are some of the things that was really important to you and I know that you like. And so that you can remember us, because I know you're looking around, I just wanted to send this off to you so that you can discuss it more with your siblings and with your mom or dad or whoever it was. And I did that, oh my gosh, way back in, I don't know, 2011, 12, this time frame. And so again, it was something that I used to do to help me stand out and to really show that I listened and that I cared with what was important to them. And I think that's really key in all of this. Text is also really important. We used to email a lot back in the day, but texting became really, really important. And how you do that is not to make long form text. Nobody wants to read all that, right? But to make it short to the point. But again, the key is showing that you heard what they were saying and that you care and that it meant something to you. And so that is what I have found to be really key with text messaging, making it really personalized because that's what you should be doing anyway. I mean, these people are in need and really reaching out to them, not like a sales manager trying to get a prospect or a sale. You're reaching out to them because you have a concern for their own personal mental ability to handle caregiving. You have a concern about their emotional well-being. You have a concern about their loved one. So you want to insert yourself as being one of the family and acting as if you are one of the family. That has been, I think, one of the biggest things for me that I have done to help me to be successful in the sales process is because I inserted myself into that family and acted like their loved one was my family member. And that was important to me. The other thing is your delivery, how you're delivering your message. What are you saying to that person? How are you delivering that message to people? And what does it sound like? Again, that goes back to, are you inserting yourself in their family? Are you able to be a resource, a value add to that person? It's important, I think, to have that connection. Webinar, I used to do conference calls because webinars weren't as big back then, but I would do either a webinar or a conference call, do like a family group meeting. I've done that many a times where I got the whole family together either on a conference call. So everybody's asking the same questions. I mean, it's so much more impactful now than ever was back in the day. So again, this is another way and means of connecting with your prospective families. The whole idea at the end of the day is to really be able to be heart to heart. I don't know how else to say it except to be heart to heart, to connect with them on a real personalized level. It is not, you're just trying to get a move in. Most people don't do that, but how you come across is important. You have all these other pressures that are coming in your ear and you're looking at your numbers. But what I used to tell my team every single time, and they can attest to this, every number represented a family. And so while yes, you're regional and your company is saying, we need these numbers, these numbers, these numbers. To me, I always translated that to be, how many people can I serve? I need this many people to really impact their life where they can come and be with me on an everyday basis. I know I'm going to impact many more lives that won't move in with me, but in order to get those to move in with me, I have to increase the ones that I'm reaching out to. And that really helped me change my mindset, especially in the beginning of this, to really understand what that connection meant and how that connection translated into what I needed to do to satisfy all the goals and revenues and everything else that my company had. But I needed to have that translation so it can connect with me from my heart. My heart was, who can I impact their life today? Who can I answer a question for today? Who really needs to hear from me today? And how do they need to hear from me today? Is it going to be an email because they are just so busy right now because they're teaching and have kids in college that they're helping, or what's going on in their life? Is it going to be by a phone call because they need to hear that personalized voice right now? And based on what they're saying, what resources can I bring to them on that call? So my call might sound like, hi, Mrs. Smith. I really was thinking about you today, and I remembered our discussion on Monday about X, Y, and Z. What I've done over the last few days is to research this for you, and I wanted to give you the numbers of these people who can help you with this problem that you mentioned to me on Monday. I hope this helps. What are your thoughts? Is there anything else I can do to assist you while you're still in the decision-making process and on this journey with your family to help your mom? Like, those are the things that I used to do on an everyday basis. And that's how I used to relate to my families. So that is hopefully a helpful tip.
Hey there, podcast lovers. If you're on the lookout for a new podcast to add to your rotation, then you should definitely check out Aspire for More with Erin. It is hosted by the most talented and inspiring Erin Thompson. This podcast is all about helping you reach your full potential and achieve your dreams. With each episode, Erin shares insightful and practical advice that you can apply to your own life, whether it is in your career, your personal growth, relationships, or any other area you want to improve in. She's an expert at helping people unlock their inner potential and become their best selves. And you won't want to miss out on her wisdom and her guidance. With many years as an executive director and inspiring her team, she has really focused in on what it takes to have self-improvement in your life. And it's fun and engaging to listen to. The best thing is that Erin is also one of our coaches for our Compass Rose Accelerator program. Erin's friendly approach and her wonderful tone makes you feel like you're chatting with a close friend. She's insightful and fascinating. So what are you waiting for? Give Aspire for More with Erin a listen and subscribe today. I am sure you will not regret it.
Today is the second portion of a 3-part series that I'm doing on really that connection with family. The first part we talked about methods of connecting. This part we're going to talk about execution of connecting. And so you know me, I have my little handy like cheat sheet so that I don't forget not one point or pointer or tip for you. So in here we're going to talk about the actual execution and how do you execute that. The execution has to deal with what are you going to do now that you have them on the line, now that you have the person engaged. And my key point to you guys is questions. Questions, 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 questions. And not just any questions. Make it questions that pertain to them. If it sounds too canned and everybody's asking the exact same question, there's going to be an issue with that. It just really is. So my thing is what questions are you asking? And are you asking deep enough questions or are you asking too broad of questions? Because that is also the key. How you get to connect with somebody is how deep you go into their mindset, how deep you go into them on an emotional level, and really getting to know that person. There has to be a genuine wanting to know and understanding of their situation and what they are feeling for you to connect with them holistically, right? Questioning is super important in the depth of what you're trying to do, meaning in the mind and in the heart and the soul of the person. The second portion is to stop and listen. So this is something that a lot of salespeople have a hard time doing because as we're listening to some of the issues, we want to solve everybody's problems right away. And it's not because it's sales, but because most of the people who serve in senior living are heart people, are really social workers at heart, and but they do it through a sales component. So what ends up happening is that you want to solve everybody's problems. And you can't do that. You need to let them get it all out. So when you're asking the questions, the key is to stop and to listen. Because for you to help that person get to that next level of their journey, and with your end goal is obviously to have them journey with you compared to anybody else, is to stop and listen. You really need to listen to what they're saying, and you need to let sure that you understand what they mean. So when you stop, you're not saying anything and you're listening to what they're saying, then you can ask more questions. And that's the another part is, are you asking deep enough questions, right? Which we talked about a little bit before. But how do you ask deep enough questions without, number one, forming the trust? And then number two, really listening to what the person is saying and maybe rephrasing what they're saying into a question form with a little bit more additives to it so that you can have a deeper understanding of what that person is going through. So the key in this is to ask questions, stop and listen, and then ask more questions that is based on what you heard or want to get clarification of. That is what is going to help you to build that trust, build that bridge, and build the connection between you and the particular family or the prospect that you're talking to. But while you're listening to, make sure there's engagement. What I have found and what I've seen in my experience, even as a regional and listening on mystery shop calls, is that someone will say something very impactful, and the person, because they're thinking about going to that very next question that they either have in their mind or that's on their piece of paper, and then they miss a huge opportunity because they weren't really listening or engaging in the conversation. They were thinking about the next thing that they needed to say. So a part of what I used to do, so I'm asking a question, and then as they are answering, I'm writing what their answers are in a short bullet point section. And as I'm listening, because I don't want to interrupt and I want them to get it out, but I'm checking or asterisking next to my bullet point to do my follow-up question. That was my visual signal to myself that this needs to go deeper. So when she would finish and talking the whole time, I'm engaging. So they're talking and I'm saying, really? Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell me more about And it could be the first thing she said. Maybe she named 3 things. I'll give you, for instance, maybe this will be easier for you. But, oh, yes, I'm really concerned. My mom has fallen. Oh my gosh, really? Yes, and she also has diabetes. Oh, okay. And, um, my brother just thinks that it's just me, but, I really think that there's something more engaged. So now I'm saying, so tell me more about your mom's falls. So I'm going back because she's giving me a list, right? And sometimes, a lot of times the list is super long, right? They're going all over the place. But remember, I'm taking bullet point notes so that I know exactly what to do. So I'm saying, okay, so tell me more about your mom's falls. And then I'm going into it. Has she fallen in the last 6 months? How many have there been? What was the outcomes of those falls? What is her doctor saying? Now I have a whole list of questions based on the falls. And then she's saying that she has diabetes. I think that was the example I used. And so if she has diabetes, how is she dealing with her nutrition? Is she compliant to that? Is she taking her meds on time? So now there's a whole nother list of questions that I have based on that one little statement. The next statement, my brother's not really on board. He thinks it's all me. Well, how does that make you feel? Well, is your brother around your mom a whole lot? Is he seeing some of the same things that you are? How is his mindset about all of this? So now I have a whole nother list of questions for the brother. So the thing is that when you're taking your notes and you're listening, and now I still have my other, 7 other questions I have to ask. But now because of my questioning of those, in response to her question, I can dig deeper and develop that trust. We can have communication. And yes, were my phone calls a little bit long? Yeah, they were. They had to be because I wanted to get to know these people. I wanted them to come in and visit with me and develop that relationship. It worked. It worked for me and it worked for so many of my sales managers. This has been very successful for me and I know it could be for you. The other thing is that as you're doing this connection is that you want to tap into what is happening with that person who's calling you, whether it's the resident or prospective resident or whether it's the family member. You need to tap into what their fears are. Are you asking, what are you most afraid of for your mom at this time? What is your mom fearful of? Tapping into what that looks like so that you can then have a response on the visit. Everything you're not going to solve on the phone or maybe even in that one visit, but you're wanting to get as much information as possible to help you to connect with that family. You want to tap into what their concerns are, their concerns for the future, their concerns about what it looks like in the future for their loved ones. You want to tap into what is important to them. One of the questions I used to ask all the time that was, I think, super impactful is, what are you looking for in this transition in life for your loved one, whether it was the mom, dad, whatever have you? What are you wanting to see? What does that look like to you? If everything, you could wave your magic wand, how would you imagine your mom's life being now? Those are some of the questions that I would ask them to help them to think about it. Because a lot of times people are calling you, they're in crisis mode. They don't know exactly what they're thinking or anything like that. And it was my job to walk them through that journey in their head and to try and come up with answers. Whether it was with me or whether it was not, the important thing was I able to serve that individual person? Everybody's not going to be for your community. Point blank. Everybody is not going to be for your community. But if you can help that person find the right answer in their life for what's going on with them, they will tell 10 other people about you. So you're giving out, you're sowing seeds, you're helping, being a resource, being a value add is going to come back to you a lot more than you could ever think or imagine. The other thing I would ask the person is their goal. What is the goal for their mom, their dad? What do they want to see? Because then I can also manage expectations. That's important. Managing expectations is huge. So if you're not able to manage those expectations, well, I want my mom to be someplace where someone can be with her 24/7. I want her to have 24/7 care. Well, what does 24/7 care look like to you? Let's make sure we understand that, because 24/7 care in an assisted living is not the same thing as 24/7 care in a nursing home. It's not the same thing as 24/7 care in your personal home. What does that look like in your head. So then number one, I can educate you when you come and see me one-on-one. But then number two is that I can manage your expectations no matter where you go, what 24/7 look like, right? Again, it's all about education. A lot of times people just don't know what they don't know until you let them know the information. And so that is what it is. And giving them proper perspective of what that looks like. Hopefully, all of this is helpful to you. Again, this is the execution. I hope this all helps.
Being a senior living or assisted living owner is easy. It's a cinch, a laid back, cushy type of business. Said no one ever, right? If you are a senior living entrepreneur, then you know how challenging it can be to launch and grow your business. That's where Compass Rose XL can really help. I like to think of it as a boot camp for entrepreneurs, kind of like an extended one. Why? Because the senior living care business, the senior care business is not a one and done proposition. There are a lot of moving parts. And that is why an accelerator program is just what the doctor ordered. You see, you will learn if you are a participant of the program from experienced mentors, receive training from experts in the industry, and network with other like-minded entrepreneurs just like yourself. Compass Rose Accelerator is like a hybrid model of an incubator and accelerator put together. An incubator helps with the startup phase, an accelerator helps with growth, right? So what this program does is it helps people who have already opened but is still in the startup phase of growing their business. And it is a 12-month commitment to help you to really gain up to 100% occupancy. You can do it. Believe me, it's been done with much larger communities than yours, I promise you. Our program is highly selective and as only a small number of owners are accepted in each cohort means that participating in our program will give you a significant boost in terms of exposure and mentorship and education. So you're saying, okay, Tiff, what does this all mean? If you're a senior living founder or owner, Compass Rose XL is an excellent way to take your business to the next level. If you're interested in applying to our accelerator program, just go to compassrosexl.com. I'll see you there.